What's going on, guys? It's Tyler McKinney back here again, and today we're going to go into college football, and we're going to go ahead and look at my college football week 2, my picks, my predictions, and my thoughts on a few of the games this week. Now, if you tuned in to my predictions from last week, not so hot. Didn't do very well. I came out 3-5 on the week. Hopefully this week we can turn it on around, and hopefully I can have a better record on my picks this week. Now, if you did pay attention, though, one thing I did hit big on the Jalen Hurts and him playing well. He's doing really well right now. But let's go ahead and let's turn our focus to week 2, and we've got some interesting games going on this week. And I want to go through and preview them with you and give you my thoughts on them. So to start things off is probably one of the biggest games of the week, and that game's going to be starting at noon, and it's going to be number 1 Clemson bringing in and playing number 12, Texas A&M. Clemson's at home, and they are a 17.5 point favorite in this game. I'm looking at this game, and I'm pretty intrigued by this game. Do I think that A&M are going to win? No. But do I think that Clemson is going to cover? No. If I'm looking at this game, I am going with Texas A&M. Give me them points. I just think that it's way too many points for Clemson to cover. Clemson played really well last week, and I believe that they were holding a little bit back, but I still wasn't completely impressed with everything that they did. Yes, they won big, and yes, they kind of took their foot off the gas, so to say, and kind of Etienne was amazing last week, but I'm just not thinking that they're a 17.5 point favorite. I just don't think that they're more than a 2 touchdown favorite. 10 points, okay, I'm probably there around 10 points, but 13 points is pushing it for me, but 17 points to me is just way too many points. When I look at this thing, I'm looking at, like I said, about a 10-point game, kind of what I'm looking at like a 38-28 type of a game, 35-28, 35-24. Maybe even like a 35-21, something like that. I can't get to that 17.5 points. I just think that Texas A&M is way too strong. I think that Jimbo Fisher's going to have his team ready to go in there and play there in Death Valley, and I think that they're going to come out. I think they're going to play well. I look for this to be maybe even a close game. I don't really think that Texas A&M really has a chance to win this game, but I think that they have a better chance than what the media and what a lot of people are thinking. I think Clemson is a giant. There's no doubt about it, but I think that they're just making this giant way too tall. I think that they put them way too high up on a pedestal, and I don't think that they're very, very good. But I don't think that they're that good. And I do think that Texas A&M is a really good team, and I think that they're coming on, and in year 2 with Jimbo Fisher, I think that they're going to be doing some great things this year. I think they're going to make some noise in the SEC West, but I just don't see them winning this game. But if you're keeping score at home with me, I am going to take the points. So let's move on, and we're going to move on to a later game, but one that I find that really interesting. It's this BYU at Tennessee game, and Tennessee right now is a 3.5 point favorite, and the over-under is 52.5 points. Now, looking at this game, if I had to pick on this game, I don't know. Right now, didn't see a whole lot that I liked out of BYU last week, but Tennessee didn't really see a whole lot. When you go and you lose like you did, it's not good. BYU, that's a good Utah team that they played. And they kind of hung in there the first half and that, but they just kind of got blown out the second half with that. So when I'm looking at this, if you had to make me pick the line, I might be tempted to go with BYU, even though I know that Tennessee is a much more talented. They have much more talent on their team. It just seems like there's just too much dysfunction on their side of the ball. I didn't really feel that with BYU. I think BYU is still trying to maybe find themselves. So I don't know. The 3.5 points, like I said, I'll take them in this instance. But the one that I'm really going with though is the under 52.5. I do believe that. I just don't think either team's going to be scoring that much with it. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game, and so I'm going to go with the under 52.5 points, and that's going to be my take on that game. Now to go to the big game of the week, which will be played between the LSU Tigers and the Texas Longhorns, number 9 Texas and number 6 LSU. LSU is coming into town, and Texas is a 6.5 point underdog. Give me those points all day long. Tom Herman coming into this game, he is crazy against the spread when he goes into a game as the underdog. And so that's pretty much what I'm going with on this one. If you're looking at it, give me those points in Texas. I don't know if they're going to win. I could see Sam Ehlinger coming out and pulling on some heroics. I could see Joe Burrow going through and pulling something out of his own. I think that you've got two really talented teams going head to head. I think that they're both looking really well. I think that probably LSU is a little bit further along, a little bit stronger of a team. I think that Tom Herman has finally got his team on track, and this year's really going to be kind of a defining, setting year for them. But I believe right now, at the looks of things, that I think LSU just kind of has the upper hand in this situation. But give me Texas and the points all day long. But if I had to pick a winner, straight up winner, I'm going with LSU, and that's probably the one that I'm going to do. I'm not even going to touch the 55.5 because I could see it easily going over that. But I'm not confident in that. Continuing on, let's go ahead and we're moving to the 8 o'clock game slot, and this one's just one that's really intriguing to me, and I just like it, and I'm going to go ahead and pick it anyways. It's Miami at North Carolina. We've got the Miami Hurricane is coming to town and playing the North Carolina Tar Heels. The Tar Heels are getting 4.5 points. If you watched them last week, they pulled the upset on South Carolina, and I think they can do the same thing with Miami. I am taking North Carolina and the 4.5 points. I just think that they are right now just playing They've bought into Mac Brown, and they're just playing for him. And right now, I'm not a firm believer in the Miami team. The Miami team has better talent than North Carolina, but North Carolina has sneaky talent. They have a very talented roster that people forget about, and that last year they did lose a lot of games, but a lot of the games they lost were tight games to where, yes, they were a bad team, but they weren't necessarily as bad as what you think. And so if Mac Brown and his staff, I think they've started to turn this thing around. The other thing that, they didn't score a lot of points. They only scored 24 points last week. But the thing with North Carolina is if you looked at it, they had nearly almost 500, roughly around 500 yards of total offense. Whenever you're putting up 500 yards of offense, especially on an SEC-type school, you need to take notice. Yes, South Carolina's defense is nowhere near Miami's defense, but I can tell you Miami's offense is not good. 10 sacks and a freshman quarterback. Granted, I know that they've got a young quarterback over there for North Carolina as well. But given all that, give me those 4.5 points with them at home, and I'm kind of been liking and watching this North Carolina team, get through the offseason and into the season and win the big rivalry that they had last week, and open up ACC play this week. So yeah, I'm kind of rooting for them a little bit, but I'm also picking them. So I'm taking the 4.5 points. Now let's move ahead to the 10:30 game, and I find this one really interesting, and I think that this one is a place that might make or break Clay Helton, and we'll really see just what is going to happen in this game. So when we look at this game, I want to go ahead and let's see. It's 10:30 game. We've got number 23 Stanford. They're rolling in to the Coliseum. They're playing USC. USC is a point and a half. They're giving up a point and a half, and the overall total is 45.5 points. Now, this game, believe it or not, I am going with the Trojans. Yep, that is right. I am picking the Trojans, and you might wonder why in the world is he picking the Trojans? I'm picking the Trojans just because I think that the backup quarterback for the Trojans is a better backup quarterback than what Stanford has right now. Neither one of these teams I really feel too, I just don't have good feelings for either one of the teams. I mean, and I don't mean that like I have bad feelings towards the team. I just mean neither one of them has really kind of given me anything where I would just like, oh, this is great. I'm looking at things good. Right now we've got the quarterback, which is going to be this freshman coming in. I think he played all right last week. I think they kind of held him, they kind of had the lead on Fresno State, and so they were trying to keep things, let him game management after JT Daniels went down with a knee injury. I think Clay Helton and the rest of the staff is just trying to keep kind of things, settled in for Solvis. I think that's how you pronounce his name. But we'll see. I really, though, I think that that he's going to play all right and well. The system that they have set up with the air raid is one of those systems that just kind of lends itself to helping out a young quarterback, and it just seems to be the way that they set those up. It's almost like plug and play with some of these quarterbacks. And I know that that's not necessarily the case all the time, but I truly feel that I think that they're going to pull this one out. That's one of the reasons. Another reason why I really think that they're going to pull this one out is the fact that Castillo is pretty much ruled out for the game. So Stanford's quarterback, he's ruled out for the game, and he's kind of they're kind of rocking that offense and things. So when I'm looking at it, I'm kind of just saying I'm taking USC, and I think that quarterback can get the ball to their playmakers enough, and that they can score enough points to give them the win. And the 1.5 points, take it or leave it. I'm just saying that the Trojans are going to win, and I think that they're going to win more by more than just 1 point. So I'll give up the 1.5 with that. That's just the way I look. The over-under, I got really no play on the 45.5 points. I don't know. I could see it going above. I could see it going below. Really have no feel on that. But really, when they ruled out Castillo for the game, that's pretty much, I think it sealed it for me. And I think that USC can do some stuff with that. So pretty much those are my big picks for the week. And then I've just got a couple games that are on my radar that I'm just kind of like, keep an eye on these games. And because they just kind of have, some watchability value for me. I kind of want to see what happens with them. So the first game is Coastal Carolina coming into Kansas. It's a really good opportunity. Kansas right now is an 8-point favorite, and I think they're going to win, and I think they even might win by more than that. It's 54.5 points. With that, if I had to choose, I'd probably take the under with that. But it's Good way to see if Kansas could start out 2-0 and that, and off with the races and running. The other game that really interests me is San Diego State at UCLA, and I really want to see how UCLA turns this thing around. They lost, to a good Cincinnati team. That Cincinnati team is no slouch. I think they're a really good team. And right now they're giving up 7.5 points to San Diego State, and I think that they can win by more. I think that really last week what got to them was just some turnover issues. They got down in the red zone and they were driving and marching, and then they would just cough up the ball, do some crazy things. I think the quarterback's going to get his head in the game, and they're going to get this thing figured out. And I think that Chip Kelly's team is going to win. I think I'm going to take UCLA and give up the points. So those are my thoughts. Those are kind of the games that are on my radar, just because I'm kind of curious with this Les Miles team and this Chip Kelly team. And so if keeping track at home, I'm taking the points with Texas A&M. I'm taking the points with BYU. I'm taking the points with Texas. I am taking the points with North Carolina. And I'm giving the points with USC. And then I'm going to give the points with Kansas, give the points with UCLA. Those are my picks, guys. I don't know. What do you think? You let me know. I want to know down in the comments what you guys think. Am I totally wrong? Am I totally off? Did I miss any games that should be on this list, or any games that you're excited for? Let me know. I really want to start some conversation because that's what talking about college football, looking at it, doing, discussing it, being a college football fan, that's half of the fun, is just talking with other people about it and getting their ideas and seeing how things transpire. All right, guys. Well, I know that you're busy and I know that I'm busy, so let's get on out of here. You guys have a good night.